Yeah, what's up, guys? Yeah, getting starting in a minute. Let me set up my audio volume. Yes, what's up, all? Welcome to this stream. And initially, my idea was to record a basketball break, the first one for a very long time, but. Yeah, unfortunately, there is a lack of good product to break. I actually managed to find a collegiate prism at my target, but as you might guess, the thing that I managed to find, that it's already a bad sign, so nobody wants it. I got some packs, but I opened some of them, and the collegiate prism is particularly bad this year because. A lot of players are not even in their college uniforms, are just like in this plain white black shorts. So I decided not to break it because it's kind of really lame. So we are kind of would be turning into a really low end channel, breaking this type of product. I might break some of it in on my TikTok channel, but otherwise, I'm pretty disappointed. So I hope that we will be able to break regular 2021 hoops, and should be coming out in January. So that's should be an exciting product. I'm always excited about hoops, the first official set. So I will hopefully I will be breaking at least the Stan Van Gundy packs because I really love the steel explosions, which are exclusive to Stan Van Gundy packs. And another reason why I decided to record this to stream tonight is that tomorrow is the beginning of NBA season, and a lot of these investment channels again around YouTube's spreading the wrong wisdom about card investing, and so I decided to put things into more or less correct order for you. So before we will start, one thing which I should mention, that I'm not a registered investment advisor or anything like that. So my advice is not official by any ways. Use at your own discretion. However, the question is why should you care about my advice? Well, for two reasons. The first reason is that I've been collecting without interruptions for over 25 years. So I've seen a lot of ups and downs of this hobby. So unlike most investors who join it in 2016, 2017, and have only seen this strong uphill, so I can put things into the perspective. And then another reason is that by my trade, I'm a finance professor at Fordham and Gabelli School of Business. I have a finance PhD from Columbia, and I have consulted a lot of asset management firms and banks around the US, Canada, Europe, and so on and so forth. So again, I'm not pretending to be some kind of super investor, but I understand what what is investable and what is not investable. So with respect to our talk today, so first we will talk about what to invest during this season, then what to not invest at all, and then kind of speculative investments, more like of a gambling. So because we're gonna be talking about 2021 season, so we will be only talking about players which are active during this season. And the very first thing to begin is that in terms of finance, this card investment, it is a so-called alternative investment, which means that there is less traditional investment instrument, which has like much more risk in that than traditional investment instruments. And for all of you, the vast majority of your assets, like 90% of your assets at least, should be in traditional investment instruments, such as like a well-diversified stock index, for example, like S&P 500, or like even better MSCI World Index. So only after you have 90% of at least 90% like of your wealth into this well-diversified investment opportunities, you should consider joining investing into the sports cards. So now, what to do with respect to the sports cars investment? So out of active players in NBA, there are only two players which are worth of a serious investment. So very, very surprisingly, it's LeBron and Steph Curry. So the situation is that it is highly unlikely that any good Steph Curry cards will be for sale this season. We'll talk a little bit about it later. So we are gonna mostly talk about LeBron. So with respect to LeBron, what you should keep in mind, that's obviously an all-time great and a good investment opportunity, but it's very important to understand which LeBron cards to invest and which LeBron cards not to invest. So here it's important to realize that there is like tons of LeBron cards and all this stuff which Panini is literally pushing out every year. Most of it is gonna like depreciate over time just due to the huge overproduction, and it's even relatively low printed cards if they're from products like for example, like Select Fast Break, or like a Prism Fast Break Choice, like this type of products. It's not going to be very appealing long term. So the best way to invest is to invest into limited LeBron cards. And in particular, what are limited LeBron cards? The best investment is, of course, rookie year LeBron cards. And here there are also like different opportunities, and there are like, of course, like a lot of mass-produced LeBron rookie year cards, such as, for example, his Topps rookie cards, which even in high grade are not that rare. And like long term, they are a good investment opportunity. You can obviously buy, but in the shorter and medium term, I don't see them as a very attractive investment opportunity because we are still, in terms of the current market, we are still pretty much in the bubble. Of course, the prices are not as high as they used to be during, for example, spring and summer, but they're still high by historical standards, even if we compare to the beginning of the year. And for this reason, like a lot of people are still like joining the hobby and keep the prices of this relatively cheap cards high. But if you really look for investment which is gonna go up even in a medium horizon, not only a long horizon, then you should, in my opinion, of course, everything is subjective here, you should pay attention to not necessarily rare but less common cards of LeBron. So for me, like some kind of threshold, like where like it really starts to make sense to put money into LeBron cards is like his EX rookie card in PCA 10. So that's not a cheap card. It's between 8 to 12K, depending on the centering. Although, like, yeah, it's pretty nonsense that PCA 10 has like such a big variation in terms of centering. And this is not a super rare card, but it's definitely a less common card. So that there is strong interest in it due to its relative rarity. So, in terms of these relatively rare cards, like for example, this EX Rocky in PCA 10, they're not always for sale. So you'll have to monitor eBay or like forums or Facebook groups when they come for sale, and usually they come for sale during 2 times of the season. So first is like at the beginning of the season. So right now there should be like even like perhaps right now in next couple of weeks there will be several of these cards on eBay. So that will be the first opportunity to buy, and then during the end of the first and beginning the second, and perhaps the beginning of the third round of our playoffs, there will be another big wave of cards or listed on eBay and Facebook groups. This is traditionally the time where the price are the highest, but that's also why during that time like good cards get listed. So if you are really going after this good LeBron cards, such as this EX Rocky in PCA 10 and above, perhaps even like his rookie year Jambalaya, then that's the time when you have to buy. The prices are high, but it's just going to be difficult to find these cards outside this time period. Again, what you should keep in mind that not everything expensive of LeBron is like a very good investment. So in particular, there's like a lot of LeBron cards which are very, very heavily trimmed. So if you, for example, look on his SP Authentic Rocky Autos, again, this is not a this is not. Although these cards are very expensive, you should understand that most of them are heavily trimmed. You can literally like look, for example, on Blowout Forum. There are like dozens, if not hundreds, of like threads about how his SPA and Ultimate Rookie Year Autos are heavily trimmed. So this is gonna be like pretty. There's like a lot of risk putting a lot of money into the card, which is most likely trimmed. So that's about like LeBron rookie year cards. This good LeBron cards, his good LeBron rookie year cards, they started at 10K. If you don't have 10K to drop on cards, then what I would recommend is that you invest into something like a S&P 500 instead, because with S&P 500 it doesn't really matter how much do you invest. Do you invest like $10 or $10,000? The growth, your growth is going to be the same. With cards, it's a little bit different because some more expensive cards, so at least with respect to established players, more expensive cards are going to grow faster than cheaper cards. But if you just want like a LeBron rookie in your collection long term, there are no bad options. No bad options. You can get his top scrum rookie and long term it will appreciate as well. If you're looking for something like faster, like sure, like a medium term, like short term in general is like very difficult to predict with respect to any asset. But if you want his faster appreciation, then like roughly speaking, his EX Rocky in PCA 10 and above is gonna be a good choice. With respect to his other limited cards, the cards which have like a good following after the Rocky year, for example, he's like a Jambalayas in a good grade, like PCA 9 and above, are also going to be also a good investment. Although you should be like you should be careful. Like a lot of these jambalayas have like high grades because they don't really have like corners, so they automatically get 10 for corners, and that's like pull their grade up. So when you invest into LeBron Jambalayas in particular, look for a good centric. So for his rookie year Jambalaya, it matters less because there is such a strong demand for them. But for example, for LeBron's second year, Jambalaya centering matters a lot for the valuation. So don't be like fooled just by high grade look on the centering. And then with respect to his to LeBron's Panini era cards, there is a couple, literally a couple of cards which are not super expensive and which are worth investing. So of course his first year 12-13 Prism of gold, it's a good investment, but I am actually not sure. Like this is a card which is like super difficult to allocate, and it's like gonna be a very expensive card. Like first year Revolution Galactics, also like a great choice, but that's also probably like well above 20K card right now, and not straightforward to find it. Then this optic preview from the first year, also another key card that can actually be a cheaper card, but also very difficult to locate. But in terms of LeBron's affordable Panini era cards, then what if you can try to get his first year Silver Prism in as high grade as you can. So this is the card which is relatively affordable, and then after that I feel like this first year Prism, this is like really the set which is gonna follow the legacy of like Top Scrum. So even if Panini will lose their license, this set will have like a cult following, because a lot of people who are now rejoining the hobby and who are going to be the pillars of the hobby of the years to come, they started collecting in late 80s, early 90s, and for them like Top Scrum was the card to go. So like Panini Prism and the natural continuation of Top Scrum. So that's going to be a good investment, regardless of what will happen. So with this following year Prisms, I would be much more careful because the production volumes are much higher, and I wouldn't be as enthusiastic toward them as I would be towards other. As I would be towards the first year Prism. And if you cannot afford his first year Prism, then a very good option is importantly, even for the first year Prism. If you cannot afford the silver version, don't buy the regular card, because the regular card, although in the first year the volumes of Prism were not as high, the regular card is still relatively mass produced, and everything mass produced is always a pretty shaky investment in when we're talking about the modern era of the card. So if you cannot afford his first year Prism silver, then the card which I would recommend you to go after is his first year Optic silver, because Optic is now like clearly number two after Prism, and has also a lot of eye appeal for the generation who grew up investing into Top Scrum. And this is also like a pretty challenging card to find in with good centering, because this first year of Chrome is gonna be the first year of Optic is actually pretty difficult, pretty difficult set in terms of centering. So that's pretty much it about LeBron. So preferably invest into his higher end rookie cards, starting live from like I mentioned, his EX card in PCA 10 is a useful first step. Like cards above it, good. I would say like a good investment. Cards below it, a less good investment, but still investment worth it. And again, if with respect to LeBron cards, it's usually better to invest in one more expensive card than into several less expensive cards. That's not always the case, like we will discuss like a little bit later. But with LeBron, it's like that. So if, for example, you have like a 1K to invest in the LeBron cards, what I would say, like try to save more, try to invest into S&P 500, like until you will have money to buy his good cards. Yeah, so that's pretty much about LeBron. And so the next player we are going to talk about is Steph Curry. Because aside from LeBron, Steph Curry is the only player which is really worth long-term investing out of active players right now. Okay, so what do we have in the chat? Legion Italia, yeah, what's up, man? Love your commentaries too in my video. KJ, hey. Ethan, hi. John Clay, I recommend to everyone invest in NASCAR. In only 5 years, you can turn $100 in $90 very easily. Yeah, that's very true. Like, although I should say, like NASCAR Prism has some very cool designs. Actually, one of the channels I watch myself on YouTube is Captain Puckhead. He breaks like some NASCAR boxes, and like, for example, like a lot of subsets in NASCAR Prism are really cool looking. So not a good investment, but a really cool to open NASCAR boxes to enjoy that. To enjoy the cars. Okay, so with respect to Steph Curry, there is really not that much to talk about, because while for LeBron there will be good cars coming during the beginning of the season and during the beginning of playoffs, for Steph Curry, I absolutely don't expect that there will be any good cards appearing during this season, unless GSW will make a playoff run, which is a very unlikely, given that Clay went down. But in general, again, monitor very closely, like Steph Curry's rookies throughout the season. Perhaps by sheer luck, some of them must surface, but in general, they're pretty safely locked down into personal collections or investment collections, and so this is going to be pretty difficult to acquire. They're not going to be surfacing easily. But again, because Steph's rookie year is the first year when Panini really got the license, a lot of his rookie cards do not have like such a strong following, because like sets like such as, for example, timeless treasures, they have disappeared a long time ago, and there is really no way for these sets to have a strong following. But if you see any kind of national treasures, Steph rookies, even if they're super expensive, it's worth these cards are worth investing, because Steph really defined this modern style of basketball, and like a lot of younger collectors, they don't really remember this. This is like pick and roll style basketball. All they remember is this 3-point basketball, like which Steph really started. And so in the future, I expect that due to these younger collectors entering and re-entering the hobbies at different stages of their life, there will be a lot of them will be going after Steph even more so than after LeBron, due to what they due to the style of basketball they like. But even if this is obviously what I'm talking now, it's a speculative statement. But even if it won't happen, like Steph is still an all-time great, and like a truly generational talent. The only player, like perhaps besides LeBron, who will be remembered as the player from this generation, because you always might think that there's like a lot of players, a lot of stars, but that's not really the case. It's like from every generation in NBA, like one or two players like will have like the following, so that their card prices will be high now. So because for example, like I can tell like my own story. I was collecting late 90s, early 2000s, when I was in high school. I was collecting like Shaq, and like Shaquille O'Neal was like really dominant player. Like people understood that he was like below Kobe, but everybody treated him as like a generational talent. But no, like if you look on Shaquille O'Neal prices right now, most of the cards are cheaper than they were like when I was collecting in late 90s and early 2000s, and that's not even accounting for inflation. So that's something which you need to keep in mind, that there are not going to be many players which will survive through the generations, and that's really like one or two players per generation. And for this generation, I think it's rather clear that it's Steph and LeBron James. So if and while with LeBron it's more or less clear what to invest, like with Steph, it's it's a little bit like more problematic due to the fact that I mentioned that a lot of his rookie cards are from the sets, which are like now like a long time ago in the garbage. But like anything, not even like obviously his national treasures RPA like will cost you like kidney and whatnot, but anything anything like Steph rookie year national treasures is obviously a good investment. Also, his cards from like iconic sets, which I mentioned from for LeBron, for example, first year 12-13 Prism, first year Optic. His scores from these sets are much cheaper than a LeBron, but in some cases, I think even for Optic, at least at some point, his Optic Holo was cheaper from the first year, was cheaper from Giannis, and that's obviously like a pretty nonsense. So yeah, that's with respect to what serious investments. And now we are gonna. The second topic is gonna be about where you should definitely not invest during this NBA season. And let me start from the most hyped players, which you should definitely avoid. And the first, I would say, the whole team which you should avoid in terms of investment is Atlanta Hawks, and in particular, Trae Young. And the reason here is that in order for Trae Young and other Atlanta Hawks players' scores to increase in value, the team really needs to make the playoffs. And because the prices are already relatively high, and the only way in basketball, it's not like in baseball, like that your team can suck like for decades and you can still be an expensive player. No, in basketball, it's not like that. In basketball, like in order for their players' prices to go up over a substantial period of time, your team really needs to perform. And in order for the team to perform, the first step for Atlanta Hawks is going to be to make the playoffs. I mean, not like this play-ins which they have this season, but like a proper 8-team player. And this is essentially impossible for Atlanta Hawks to make playoffs right now because let's just see what's going on in the Eastern Conferences. So last year, the top 6 teams, like there's no way that Atlanta Hawks will be able to play at the level of what like top 6 teams played last season. So what are the rest teams? So number 7 last year in Eastern Conference was Brooklyn. Yeah, okay. So even if KD and Kyrie will go down during the first week of the season, even in that case, this like Brooklyn score like of Harris, LeVert, Dinwiddie, like Jared Allen, then after that, you really are not able, even with this core, like Atlanta Hawks won't be able to fight that core. And that's assuming that like Kyrie and KD will go down early in the season. I'm obviously not wishing it as a Brooklyn fan, but like it's clear that Atlanta Hawks, in any case, they won't be able to fight for Brooklyn, and that's number 7. So number 8 last year was Orlando, and Orlando is they don't have like this fancy, like flashy players like Trae Young, but it's a very well organized team which is built so that players complement each other and has like a good coaching. And so right now this is gonna be a very important. So like if for example you look last year at this in playoff, they managed to. It was a close series between like Bucks and like Magic. And due to how well organized and how well and clutchy basketball Orlando is playing, I just don't see that Atlanta Hawks, which is like largely disorganized team, like where like Trae plays offense and doesn't get any and doesn't play any defense. Everybody else is playing like a defense, and players don't really complement each other. I don't see like Atlanta making it over Orlando. And it's not only me. You can see like if you think that Atlanta is gonna make it to the playoffs, then of course it's that's gonna be you can like bet your money like in Vegas, and you will be rich. So now, and even after that, like I don't really see Atlanta even at number 9, because now like Washington got like Russell Westbrook, and Russell Westbrook was the player who individually was able to take like Oklahoma to the playoffs in the West. And if he was able to do it in West, I'm pretty sure he will be able to do it in East. And like Washington, like with Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook, like for sure it's like the team is gonna dominate like Atlanta Hawks left and right. So like the best like Atlanta Hawks can probably do is like the 10th seed and this first play-in round exit. So that's absolutely absolutely impossible. So I personally don't see it, and like bookmakers like around the world agree with it. So I would avoid investing into this. And exactly the same story like applies to Chicago. So to Kobe White, to Lauri Markkanen. Again, in order for their prices to go up, Chicago really needs to make the playoffs. And again, like I mentioned, so top 6 from last year, plus Orlando, plus Brooklyn, plus Washington, they're for sure better than Chicago. So they won't be able to make the playoffs, and this is not gonna not gonna fly. Again, why is it so important that they make the playoffs? Because it's a concrete sign of making the progress. Of course, I fully expect like that, for example, Trae Young or Kobe White or even Lauri Markkanen will have like stretches of good games during the season. But what will happen is that, okay, you will sell during these good stretches, and then they will have like a stretch of bad games, and then after that, like the prices will go down, and like your buyers will return all this, or are going to return all these cards. So this is pretty much this is pretty much the limit. The limit right here. So okay, you sell it, you return it like your buyers will return it when they're not, the players are not hot. While with the playoffs, once they may make playoffs, they're going to be a long stretch without the basketball, and this mark of them making playoff will kind of anchor the prices for longer period of time. So this is pretty much it about this lower level teams in the Eastern Conference. So what's going on in the chat? I just got here Luca Prism base PCA 10 is selling for 1650. How high can this go? Very good question. So we'll talk about the Western Conference in a moment, but to answer your question, like this is like huge, the curve is huge print run, and now we are obviously experience a huge inflow of new collectors into the hobby, and they go for this like the so-called commodity card, widely available card, and pushing this price of this widely available commodity card up. So as gradually the market will be cooling down, and such a high price with for such a mass-produced card, I don't believe it is. In my opinion, it's not sustainable. The only case it's sustainable if like Luka will become really the next LeBron, and this is rather unlikely. Not because like Luka is better or anything. It's just like I mentioned in the beginning, there's just like very few generational players. Like when I was, like I mentioned this, like Shaquille O'Neal example. Yeah, he was really dominant player during his playing days, but now his cards are cheaper than they were than they were in late 90s, early 2000s. So yeah, Luka can be a generational player, but is he really defining this decade? I'm not sure. So uh, our cards now store value as monetary. Debasement is occurring like any commodity. Yeah, so good cards are a store of value. And like good cards, what I mean is like rare cards of generational players, like LeBron and, for example, Steph Curry, are like this Lucas PCA 10 base prisms a good store of value? No, I don't think like so, because all this monetary stimulus, it's only like creates a new bubble, because the government is not like doing like a very good job. Instead of addressing like some fundamentals problems of the economy in pandemic, what they're doing, they're just giving people out money. So what do? People go like throw this money away on something like Luca PCA 10s, and that's artificially increases money, but the government won't be able to give you money forever. At some point of time, you will have to think, okay, yeah, I spend like this government stimulus, so what should I do? Then you will start like spending money on more serious things than the so-called commodity cards, and they will go down. How soon it will occur, it's not clear, but it economically it has to occur, giving the print runs of the stores, and giving that we are in the boom right now. But as I mentioned, like a limited cards of, like, for example, a LeBron are a good store of value, because they're always gonna be serious collectors who would like to collect the best player of the generation. And like I mentioned, like, for example, instead of like Luca Prism based PCA 10, if you buy, for example, a LeBron James Rocky EX PCA 10, then that's going to be a very good store of value. And essentially, the higher you go in terms of LeBron cards, for example, like say his rookie year, Jambalaya is going to be even better store of value than his EX card, because the card is so limited, and the demand for the generational player is going to be really high. Hi, Sam Sports Shop. Hawks have turned it around, and I will be a contender in 2 or 3 years. It depends on a lot of things. Like you would think, yeah, like it's possible to build a contending team around Hawks, but it requires like a really hard work and smart off-season acquisitions. Right now, I wouldn't. I would like reevaluate like after the next off season what they have done. This off season didn't really show anything like super promising, because there have been like many examples of the teams where we thought that the team really turned it around. Because, for example, like Oklahoma City Thunder is like the best example of the team which we really thought turned it around. But because like they had Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, like on their roster, and James Harden, all three, I think, at the same time. And yeah, like I remember people like were really pumping them. Yeah, Oklahoma City Thunder is going to be like a contender, and so on and so forth. But yeah, how it turned it around, like I don't think they ever were like in the second round of playoffs. Or the same thing like when like Minnesota had like Wiggins and Cat like together. I think it was like Wiggins' second year. People thought, okay, Minnesota is going to contend Yeah, what did they have? Like one playoff appearance, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, like it was definitely possible to build a strong team around Oklahoma City, around like Minnesota, and I agree that it's possible to build a strong team around like Atlanta Hawks score right now, but I just don't see that management is doing it. So I would evaluate like what's going on next off season, but before that, I'm not really like buying in. Buying in. I think DeAndre Hunter from Hawks is going to have a great year. Yeah, like he's maturing a lot, and you could see it even during his rookie year. But the problem is that in order for him to see the substantial bump, Hawks really need to make the playoffs because he is really a sophomore year. So for him, it's not enough like just to play well by himself. He really needs to carry the team forward. And as I mentioned, I don't see Hawks going to that Hawks are going to make it. How long can this card bubble go? A bubble lasts longer than most logic people believe. Are we talking 3-5 years before this pops? Unless very good question, and nobody knows like how long it will last. So everything which I'm talking about now, it's a longer term investment. So for example, right now, I'm sure that for example LeBron 12-13 gold prism is going to be more expensive in 20 years than it is now. That I can say for sure, regardless of any market fluctuations. Will a Luca Prism base PCA 10 be still 1650 in 20 years? Nobody knows. It's a gamble. I would say that no. When the price will go down, it depends on a lot of factors. Usually, historically, like in the current market, if we look on the bubble in late 60s, bubble in late 80s, they take what you mentioned, 3 to 5 years to collapse. So this is not even. This is like what has been historical evidence. But every like bubble is different. Can be longer, can be shorter. But in investment in general, the most important thing is that you don't try to ride the bubble. That's a shaky position because when it collapses, you are really standing without your underpants. So all your investments should be a longer term investments. And in that respect, I wouldn't be positive about like Lucas and this is Lucas and this type of investments. Okay, so now, this is for the lower half of the Eastern Conference. So now let's talk about the upper half of Eastern Conference. And again, I'll talk about players which I think you should not be investing first. So the first thing is that don't invest into Giannis. So Giannis prices are like skyrocket high right now, but he has, and in order for his prices to go even up, what he has to do, he has really win the cup. And this is not, I don't see it possible right now in any way because what we are looking right now in Eastern Conference, so at least Brooklyn and Miami are above Milwaukee in terms of roster and in terms of the team game. And that's Brooklyn and Miami. These are two teams. So, for example, if KD goes down, Kyrie goes down. So they're not the most injury-proof players, as you know. So they can go down. Then, of course, after that, if like in Miami, if like Jimmy Butler will go down, okay, then I agree. Like Milwaukee can make it to the finals, and that's like already a lot of assumptions. But then in the finals, I literally don't see that Giannis can like fight like strong, skillful leaders as, for example, like a LeBron or say like Kawhi. So these are players who have shown that they have like both strong leadership teams and they show their best game when it mattered the most. So Giannis hasn't really. I cannot call like Giannis a choker by any means. So, but he hasn't shown that he is able to show his best game when it mattered the most. And in that respect, I think this is going to be a very this is going to be very risky bet on Giannis, especially because Milwaukee is not a location which is Milwaukee is not going to be a location where it's easy to attract other high-profile free agents. So this is also going to limit like Giannis's potential. And obviously, I don't hate Giannis. And how I see like his upside right now, I see his upside that probably he will be able to win like max one cup at Milwaukee. And for me, like I would respect like this as much as like all Milwaukee's, as all like LeBron's cups together. It's the same way I personally respect Dirk Nowitzki's one cup as much as LeBron's all cups, because like unlike LeBron, like Dirk Nowitzki, he didn't jump to this stock team all his careers. He stayed with his team and for the whole career and won the cup with that team. So that was a really big achievement in my opinion. But again, that's not how hobby sees it. So for hobby, it's really important that that the player wins a lot of cups. Like it's not like that in all sports, but in basketball, it's like that. And right now, given how sky high Giannis's prices are, the only way for him to go even higher is to actually win the cups. And I literally don't see it like that. I don't really see that happening this season and not even the next season. So I would avoid his skirts at all costs. So now the second team which I would also I think I would like largely avoid during this season is going to be like Boston Celtics and in particular Jason Tatum. Yeah, Jason Tatum is a good overall player and no problem with that. But again, his inconsistency is coming through. Like for example, last year in playoffs, it came out very clearly. It also comes out during the regular season if you follow it. And given how high his prices are, the only way for his prices to go even higher up, is that like Boston must make like conference finals. And again, I don't really see it because we have, as I mentioned, we have Brooklyn, Miami, Milwaukee clearly above them, and even like Philadelphia can take a series out of them, so that could be a really working proposition. Here, so again, there is a small chance that they will make it, but I just don't. A lot of bad things must happen to Brooklyn, Miami, Brooklyn, Miami, like Milwaukee and Philadelphia, so that Boston will make it to the finals. And if it's again like conference semifinals, like last year, no, nothing is Jason Tatum's prices are not gonna go up, because in basketball, in order for a senior player, in order for the prices to go up, the player needs to step a step higher, and not in terms of only his individual skills, also in terms of the team achievement. And for Brooklyn, it's not gonna happen. Okay, to the chat. Do you believe that Tyler Hero is long term, or is he a 1 year wonder? Yes, so this is actually something. So Miami is a very interesting team because it's a team which is very well built. So players really complement each other well. They have a very strong leader in terms of Jimmy Butler, and they have a very smart coach. So in that respect, they have all the chances to succeed. Yeah, it's gonna be more difficult for them this year because like Brooklyn got much stronger. But if you want to gamble this year, then what is like in Eastern Conference? If you really want to take like a calculated gamble, I would say it's Tyler Hero and Kendrick Nunn. So these two players, they show, and to a lesser extent, like Bam, because as a big man, he has a lesser following. But these players, if they continue, for them, nobody expects like Miami to win the cup. And even like I would say, most people don't even expect them to make to conference finals again. So, and in this situation, in order for the player prices to go up, it is completely reasonable that the players just develop their own game. And this Miami's younger core, like Bam, Kendrick Nunn, and Tyler, they really have a chance to step up, and especially given how well the coach is using them. Like, for example, you remember last year in the playoffs, like Kendrick Nunn, like wasn't used like all the times, was really used when he brought when he made the team's game better. So again, this is like a huge gamble, but this is their prices are relatively affordable. They're much cheaper than, for example, like Trey Young's prices, or like or like all this, like Lucas. And again, like if you are seriously, if you're investing long term, again, like it's LeBron and Curry, like selected rookie cards. But if you have like some change left and you want to gamble, in my opinion, this Miami Rockies, Miami like younger core players are a good opportunity to gamble, because yeah, even if you will lose your money, they're not that expensive. Okay, and then I think the upside is really it's not like as unlimited like as for example for somebody like Luka, but the chance of that upside is relatively high, because expectations with respect to Miami, I would say something like conference semifinals. And for sure, Miami is very well suited to make conference semifinals, and due to this individual progress of the players, it's a good gambling opportunity to invest in Tyler Hero, in Kendrick Nunn, into Bam, like so. Definitely something to gamble with. Again, like I mentioned, like in the beginning, 90% of your money should be invested into a diversified stock market index such as S&P 500, MSCI World Index. So the last 10% which goes in cards, out of this 10%, 90% should be like in established cards such as like LeBron and Curry cards I talked in the beginning, and then this like rest what is left. Yeah, like you should also gamble because it gets boring if you're only like doing like safe things. But when you are gambling, you need to make calculated gambles. And like for example, Giannis is not a gamble because the prices is so high and the expectations are unreasonable. This Miami Rockies, the expectations are very reasonable and prices are low. So why not? So definitely a good something good to consider. I think Mark Cuban will do anything to win a championship. Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, we'll talk like about the Western Conference in a moment. But yeah, I'm really I'm not like that convinced about like Mavericks like yet. So there definitely like Luka is a good player to build around. Like then Porzingis is also a very good big man. But the problem is that I saw like Porzingis many times playing at Madison Square Garden, and he's so versatile. Like it's really it's like he gets like injured often. But as somebody who saw him playing live, like I saw like many cases like where he doesn't get injured, but he is on the verge of getting injured. So he's it's just so like so he's so fragile player, and like a large part of their cap is with Porzingis. So I'm this is something which is like worrisome for me. So Dallas overall is a team where I would say we'll talk more about Luka, but yeah, I agree with you that Dallas are making steps in the right direction. The problem is that it's still like a lot of uncertainty, and I would wait for the next off season, if not the off season after that, to see how things will pan out in the future. Loving the breakdown. Thanks, Legion Italia. Like always, enjoy your thoughtful comments and to my videos. Okay, and before we'll go to the Western Conference, the last team I would like to talk about in the Eastern Conference is Brooklyn Nets, and this is also the team which had like a very strong preseason, like, and its hype is extremely high right now. And here, if we think about the potential of KD and Kyrie, their prices will really go up if they will win the cup, because they both of them won the cup, but they were playing the second fiddles on the championship teams, and they have this strong reputation as being like very skilled players, but not true leaders. Like Kyrie slightly more so, like KD slightly less so, but in order for them if they will be able to win the cup, their prices will go down, like will go up like a lot, like really a lot, because that will be essentially the first true cup for each of them. So in that respect, they prices, if you look right now, they're not nearly as high as, for example, like even like Giannis prices. So, but overall, I would be like very cautious investing into both of them, because it is they both of them are extremely versatile players and are extremely fragile players. And again, like I talked about Porzingis, what was going on with Porzingis, it applies a lot to Kyrie as well. I saw him playing a lot last year for Brooklyn. I probably was like to 5 or 6 Brooklyn games with him last year, and his playing style is such that it's really, really easy to get injured. And he gets injured a lot, especially now when he's not as young as he used to be. So, in my opinion, it's a very risky bet because I'm not sure that it's very likely that during this season and the playoffs, at least one of KD and Kyrie will get injured, and then that's not going to be enough in the finals. It's going to be probably enough to win the Eastern Conference because they really have to fight Miami and Milwaukee. And Milwaukee, they should be able to fight even if they only have KD. Miami is going to be tough, even if they have both Kyrie and KD. But that's something which is not. This is definitely something which is not. Which is less sure. But I'm a more or less. But here I'm a more or less confident that they won't win the cup because even if they will make to the Eastern Conference Finals, they won't be able to fight these teams with Western teams with strong leadership such as Clippers, Lakers, and even Nuggets. Although I don't believe that Nuggets will make it to the finals. But I would avoid investing into KD and Kyrie because the expectations are very high for them because the only way is for their prices to go up is for Brooklyn to win the cup. Even Eastern Conference Championship is not going to be enough. If you really want to gamble on Brooklyn, then I would recommend Caris LeVert. So he's a flashy player. So if Brooklyn will make a deep playoff run, he will get a lot of opportunity and get opportunities to show his skills. And he is also very cheap right now. So this is this is a worse gamble than gambling with this Miami Rockies. But I would avoid Kyrie and KD because the entrance level is high, and their championship, the only way the prices will go even higher is highly unlikely. The question Toronto Raptors. Anunoby gets 4 year, 72 million extension. Even that insane. He has streaks where he can carry the team. So no, everyone is everyone in the NBA is overpaid. I think especially right now, I think this is a little bit it's really gonna hurt Toronto because I expect due to all this COVID business, the cap is not gonna go up that much, and especially in Canada where people are more wary about all these infections. Toronto might struggle with ticket sales, even further than the US based team. So spending. So in my opinion, Anunoby is really a very good role player. So above I cannot call him for example, even as good a player as Pascal Siakam, for example. So I really don't. I think they overpaid they didn't overpaid by an insane amount, but I would think that instead of 72, they could have like done the same deal like for 60 million, and they would that would really like leave some space for very experienced veterans, which would help this a youngish core of Toronto, like this youngish core of Toronto to really step up. But in general, Toronto, I'm really not I'm not super excited about them right now, because they're really like fourth or fifth now in the Eastern Conference, and in order for because this I think like their players like Van Vliet or like Siakam, like Anunoby, they in terms of the card price and their price, so that they really need to make to the conference finals in order for their prices to go up. So I don't think it's gonna be. It's gonna be really that expensive. So this is. I would avoid Toronto investment wise overall. So this is like this is my advice. They aren't letting the Raptors play in Toronto. They're down in the States right now. Yeah, that's what I mentioned in Canada. That all that's like is very serious. And what I think is even like going to happen is when they will allow the U.S. teams to play with spectators, because in Canada they think they take the healthcare much more seriously. Then in Canada they will allow them to play with spectators even later, and so that will so for that reason the Raptors are going to be disadvantages, like for going to be at disadvantage. So this is going to be a big problem. Like when Kawhi left, our chances for another ring did too. Yeah, I largely agree. They really they really needed somebody like Jimmy Butler, like who could be like a strong leader around this team, because this supporting squad is really good in Toronto. If they would get a strong leader there, like things would be good. But yeah, otherwise, I agree with you that it's gonna be like they're not gonna really suck, but there's gonna be a prolonged period of a mediocre performance. Hey clown, love the channel. I put an Alexis Lafreniere young gun out of a $30 blaster. They're currently selling for $250, $300 on eBay. Should I sell now or hold to sell if he's the next McDavid? Again, nobody knows what will happen, but historically the experience was that it's always better to sell in the beginning of the career, because it is essentially the only two recent players which maintain it at the high prices out of the gate are Crosby and then McDavid. Even if you look and play like Ovechkin, his prices really went up only after when he won the cup and was approaching this Gretzky record. In my opinion, in terms of both his skills and the team which he will be playing for, Lafreniere is very comparable to Austin Matthews. So it's a big market, strong following, slightly less following in New York, obviously, than in Toronto. But in order for the prices to go up, he really needs some extraordinary performance. And the big advantage, which McDavid got, is that he was really playing the first fiddle on that team. Lafreniere is not going to be playing the first or even the second fiddle on Rangers, because it's going to be it's gonna be Panarin and Zibanejad who will be carrying the offense of that team. Lafreniere will get a good chances and he will get a lot of opportunities. But I would say like the long term, so it's he will be like Austin Matthews. So his prices will dip down a little bit over long term. So I would say that sell now because especially like the problem with Rangers is that they have a lot of money like tied, like for example this like Panarin's contract, and now due to COVID like the cap is not going to grow high, so the defense is really sucks badly, and we see like with Toronto Maple Leafs every year what happens if like you have strong offense and like, you don't have like a defense. Something like CBJ will come and like knock you in the first round of playoffs. And Rangers right now they don't really have cap to sign a really strong defenseman, and that's not going to be easier in the coming years. So what I expect, like in the short to medium horizon, like Lafreniere, Kurtz will go down. So what I would say, like sell it, invest the money into something like S&P 500, and if at some point it looks like Rangers are able to build a competitive team, then like reinvest like back. So, but right now, like this New York Rangers is gonna be like what Toronto Maple Leafs. Maple Leafs are now. Okay, but back to the basketball that's NBA stream. So that's about Eastern Conference, and now we'll talk about the Western Conference. So now, with respect to the Western Conference, again, we'll talk about the teams which you should avoid investing at all costs first, and then we will talk about more investable teams. So. The first thing is don't invest into New Orleans Pelicans, and in particular, don't invest into Zion and Alonso Ball, because right now, like Zion's prices are so high that the only way for them to get higher. So it's a little bit similar to Trae Young, that the prices, in order for Zion prices to get higher, it really needs to be the case that Pelicans will make the playoffs. And Western Conference is really tough. And what I can tell you for sure that this backcourt of Lonzo, JJ Redick, and Bledsoe is not going to be enough for playoffs in Western conferences. Like even if you look historically, like even players like Russell Westbrook, who were like really dominant players, were not able to carry teams to the playoffs by their own effort. And like LeBron, like Zion, like he showed like flashes of skill during his first year, but again, like if you look on his body structure, like I'm not gonna say that he's literally one donut away from breaking the whole basketball court, because we're like being very polite, and like there is no place for body shaming in this stream. But you can see like that with this body structure, he's like really like reminding players like Greg Oden, like so he can really be injury prone, and the whole overall roster is not built very well. So in that respect, given how high his prices are, then there's literally no way that they will get like even higher without the Pelicans making the playoffs. And Pelicans are just not gonna make the playoffs with this bad core and with how injury prone Zion is. So this is something which I would of course avoid. The second player, the second team which I would avoid investing is Utah Jazz, and in particular Donovan Mitchell, because Donovan Mitchell prices have been heating up for some time. But again, in order for Utah for his prices to increase, they at least need to make the second round of playoffs, and even there they need to avoid like a sweep. So they need to show like some competitive basketball, because they have been making this first round of playoffs for a couple of years now, and that's not gonna be enough anymore. And just like with how packed like the Western Conference is right now, I wouldn't. I'm not a fan I'm not a fan of Utah Jazz making like a deep playoff run, and in that respect, yeah, like Donovan Mitchell will probably make an All-Star game, but it's not gonna affect like a lot of his card values. So that one I would avoid. Okay, so now coming into more investable teams. So a very interesting team in the Western Conference is Memphis Grizzlies, and this is because the team is built in a way that the core players, so Jaren Jackson Jr. and Jonas Valanciunas, complement each other really, really well. And in particular, this like a giant like Valanciunas are able to play like very, very smooth pick and roll, which can be very effective in the current era where most teams like build the defense around being able to defend against this long range shooters. And ever already last year, Grizzlies were close to making the playoffs, um, and Ja like showed like particular steps of maturity. And again, this year it's gonna be competitive. It's not gonna be easy for Grizzlies, and I don't expect them like making any seed better than the eighth overall seed. But right now, the prices of Ja are such that they are literally like pricing them being between eighth and ninth seed. So if Grizzlies will make the playoffs, then his prices will go up somewhat. Of course, in order for them to go up a lot, they will need to make it to the second round of playoffs, and that's almost impossible because there will be teams like Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, and there's going to be a sweep. But this is a calculated risk. But if you would like to invest into Grizzlies, I personally would avoid investing in to Ja, because the entry level is pretty high. His prices are high, so it's a relatively big commitment. So if anything like will go wrong, there will be you will take a pretty deep fall in terms of prices. So here, what I would recommend, if I would recommend investing in Jaren Jackson Jr. His prices are dirt cheap right now. Of course, his prices also won't go as much up as Ja's prices if Memphis will succeed. But the risk return trade off, in my opinion, is much better here. But again, this Grizzlies, this is a very, very this is like going to be a very, very risky bet. It's a calculated risk. It's much better than taking like a bet on Zion or a bet on Donovan Mitchell, but still like risk. So a similar bet perhaps even like slightly more risky bet is going to be Dallas Mavericks, and in particular Luka. So Luka has shown that he has all the skills to lead the team. He has a leadership too. So he has great playmakers, IQ, great overall game. But again, the problem is that Dallas is only still building the team. And as I addressed in my answer to one of the questions, the team is not there yet in order to make it to the second round of the playoffs, for example. Really, because they made the playoffs last year, this is their threshold this year. In order for Luka's prices are sky high right now. So in order for them to get even higher, Luka really needs to get this team into the second round of playoffs, and this is relatively unlikely. I wouldn't say that it's impossible. Yes, sure, they can get past something like Utah Jazz in the first round. But the question is like, will a Utah Jazz have the question is like, most likely they won't be playing Utah Jazz. They will most likely be playing something like Denver Nuggets, and that's going to be really really hard, if not impossible. And this is this is a small. This is something which is not. I wouldn't say like putting money into Luka right now, like throwing it away, but it's way too risky. Especially like putting money into this Luka's commodity cards is way too risky. Because the commodity cards, these very common cards, are the first cards to come down. So now, with respect to his better cards, again, I would wait and see what Dallas will make the next offseason and probably the offseason after that. Because in basketball, you cannot really sustain your very high prices unless the team is really building around you. And right now, like Dallas and Mark Cuban have shown some evidence of building the team around Luka, but not too much. Clearly, it's they could have had like a much stronger offseason than what they had, and so right now I don't see that they make the second round of playoffs, which would be required for Luka's prices to go even up. So that's pretty much it about Dallas. And now coming to the team which I would say provides the best risk return trade-off in the Western Conference right now for gambling investments. Again, like as I mentioned, and I'm repeating it, like for those of you who leave us and join, I see that a lot of people are leaving throughout the stream. That again, 90% of your wealth should be in something like S&P 500 or MSCI World Index. Out of the remaining 10%, 90% in the cards, in established players like LeBron. Like we talked about, like which particular LeBron cards to invest in the beginning of the stream, so you can scroll back. And the rest 1% of your wealth, like you can gamble, so the life doesn't get boring. And in my opinion, the most calculated gamble in Western Conference right now is Phoenix Suns, because the team showed that they're really maturing together. They almost made the playoffs. Last season, like had really strong end of the season, and the biggest reason they are really competitive right now, in my opinion, is Chris Paul. Because Chris Paul is getting older and he like is injury prone, but he's a true leader in the locker room, and even if he's not playing, just sitting by sitting courtside. It is the player who essentially single-handedly throughout his leadership skills took Oklahoma to playoffs last season. So everywhere Chris Paul joined it, he really got this younger core playing together. And right now, if you look on this Phoenix player prices, even a Booker or DeAndre Ayton, they're very low, especially DeAndre Ayton. You can get his silver Rocky prisms for next to nothing. And in my opinion, the upside here is really high. And nobody really expecting Phoenix to do anything. So they haven't been in playoffs for decades. No. So if Phoenix will make the playoffs, all these younger players, who are not very young, but just on the younger side players Devin Booker will see a substantial price bump. So in that respect, it's I think it's a great risk return trade-off, because it doesn't cost much to buy the rookie cards here, and they can enjoy a pretty substantial bump. So and here again, I would Booker is relatively. He's still relatively affordable, but somewhat expensive. DeAndre Ayton is really cheap, and I will see a substantial bump. So overall, to summarize the discussion, so Phoenix is really this a team which I think is gonna be is a good team to gamble on in a Western Conference. So in Eastern Conference, I would say it is Miami. So with all this, the young, especially these young players like Bam, Kendrick Nunn, and Tyler Hero. So where is my gambling money going? Gambling money is going into Phoenix and Miami. Where is my serious investment money is going? It is going into serious LeBron rookie year cards. So hopefully I will be able to pick up his rookie year jambalaya, at least, and PCA 9 with nicer centering. So that's where I'm personally putting the largest part of my money in terms of card investing. But of course, most of my money in S&P 500 and MSCI World Index. So that's pretty much it for today. So summarizes the investment outlook for the NBA season. So hopefully we will be able to do basketball breaks soon. So I'm looking forward to breaking 2021 hoops. Should be coming out in mid-January, and also join if you are craving for some basketball breaks. As I mentioned, I got from Target. I got this Panini college prism. They are pretty ugly cards. That's why I decided not to break it for my channel. But if you're looking into this type of breaks, also Series 1 hockey breaks, I'm doing it also in TikTok, because it's kind of a lower end mass product. But join TikTok channel if you are into that type of breaks. But otherwise, in terms, there will be a couple of videos by the end of the year. I really hope that Panini will put out the 2021 NBA stickers collection. That's my all-time, a long-time favorite. Hope to break it like as soon as possible. As well then probably if there are some cards in the mail to me, like I'm close to completing some of the sets, so we'll be showing them on the channel as well. But that's it. That's it for today. Thanks a lot, all of you, for joining. Great discussions. So enjoy these streams and talking to my subscribers because that's the idea. That the idea of my channel, so that we talk each other and share our passion for hobby. So thanks a lot, guys and girls. I'm not sure if there is any girls because based on YouTube analytics, over 99% of my audience are men. So, but in order not to discriminate, so see you soon, guys.